Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage is MIKEKINGBIZ, the voice of RVA business media. At MIKEKINGBIZ, we celebrate the idea that business makes society better. On behalf of the whole MIKEKINGBIZ ecosystem, we say a big thank you.
Greetings and welcome back to Conversations That Matter. I am your host, Lynn Lewis, and today I have one of my colleagues, friends here with me, Kevinique Cherry, and you will meet Kevinique in just a minute. But as by way of introduction for myself, I am a grief educator, grief coach for those who have experienced a loss by suicide, as well as the Chief Empathy Officer for Destined to Thrive Grief Coaching Services. And today, as I said, I have my friend Kevinique here with me. Kevinique, introduce yourself to the audience, your elevator pitch.
Okay. Hi, my name is Kevinique Cherry. I am the founder of A Piece of Peace, where I help families, individuals, as well as businesses move from overwhelm to clarity and peace in the area of their finances.
Thank you.
You're
and
welcome.
welcome again to Conversations That Matter. The Conversations That Matter are undergirded by loss and grief. And you may be wondering, what in the world does loss and grief have to do with finances? We are so glad you were wondering that. So as I always like to say up front, that when I talk about loss and grief, simply loss is when you no longer have access to something that you love, that you cared about, that was important to you. Yeah. And then grief is the emotions, the emotional responses and reactions that we have to a loss. Mm-hmm. And so what does that have to do with finances? Well, we know that grief changes many, many things, including how we think, how we feel, how we make decisions.
Yes.
So when a loss occurs, if there is not ample finances in place, then that causes even more grief, because there is angst about how we're going to pay for things, how we're going to do this, that, and the other in the financial arena.
Absolutely.
On the flip side of that, if there is not ample finances, or if one is not financially literate, then that can cause many different losses.
Yes.
Loss of things, loss of identity. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So, Kevinique, share with us what propelled you into this area of financial literacy.
I would say what got me there is I actually had started working for a company, and I was working in the collections department. Mm. And I actually was working in hardship. So we would sometimes have people call because they've lost a loved one, or they have loved ones that's going through different transitions that's impacting their ability to make payments. And so that is what sparked the interest for me. So when I graduated, I actually wanted to go into psychology. So my business really brings all of it together, because as a life coach, I find myself coaching more and, touching on the psychology of our thinking and our thinking of money. But that is what truly sparked me. My one was the fact that no one gave me that education when I was growing up. I remember when I got the job, I was just like, how did I get this job? Because I got credit cards I have not paid. And how did y'all give me this job? But once I got the job, I was just like, oh, there is so much I need to know. But there's also so much I need to share.
Right.
And that actual role prepared me for when I went through a major loss as well, to be able to, focus on the finances that were lost in our family.
That's good. That's good. One thing we both would like to share with you all today is that this is a process. So
yes.
Just think about it as a process. You're not going from being financially illiterate to boom, tomorrow you are financially literate. It's a process.
It is.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that when you first started out, you had credit cards and whatnot. I remember it was in about 2016, I knew that my job was going away within the year. And I remember just thinking about, pulling out all of our things together and the embarrassment and the shame behind I'm not financially ready.
Right.
What am I going to do when this check goes away?
Yeah.
And all of those things. I remember even before then having a whole bunch of credit cards and paying that minimum $10, $20 a month. And I got to a point to say, you know what? I'm working for my credit cards for stuff that I don't even know what I bought, don't know what was spent on them. And so I had already started getting rid of those.
Yeah.
But back to when I was getting ready to leave my my job of many, many years, I remember meeting a friend and being so embarrassed and ashamed to sit down in front of her with all of our stuff.
Yeah.
And what she said to me, she said, "Lynn, you're in good shape. You got money in savings. You got 1 or 2 credit cards.
Yes.
You have 401. You have insurance." She said, "You're in good shape." And I said, "I am?"
Yeah.
She said, "Yes, you would be surprised at what people are going through."
Yeah.
And so that really helped me. And so that's one of the reasons that I asked Kevin to come today and just to talk to us about how we can piece a piece.
Yes.
Just take small pieces to get to that piece.
By piece.
Piece by piece. And that's what happened to me. She was able to help me piece by piece.
Yeah.
And now, as you also mentioned, having that information, first of all, not growing up with that. No one, it was finish high school, get a job, or go to college.
Yeah.
And, but no financial training, and watching my parents, my father mainly, work a job, paycheck to paycheck, being laid off and winter months or slow times. And so I didn't have that undergirding.
Yeah.
But because now I do,
I
feel like I have to share. I have to connect with people like you and other financially literate people, consultants. So
what I love about what you said too is that you mentioned a few things that always prevent people from making the next step. The fear, the shame, the guilt, all of those things is what prevents people from making the next steps. And especially if you have lost a loved one, you are overwhelmed. You don't even know where to start. And so that's actually where I start first. Before I start working with my clients on their actual finances, I am more so breaking down the psychology. Who taught you that?
Right.
Why do you feel this way? Because everything is deeper than that.
Right.
Everything is, the way you spend, the way you go and swipe your credit cards or, the different things that you do. I remember one time I went out and I was just swiping and I came home and I just cried. Because I was filling another void.
Right.
So everything is always deeper than what we see in the moment. Right. And so before I even began in my peace method, we paused to reflect and analyze, like, where am I at right now? Because we can't see progress until we address those things. So that's good that, you had someone that you actually took the first step of sitting down with someone to address that fear, because then what you realized was that it's not as bad as it seems.
Because she taught me.
Yeah.
But one of the other things that I was just thinking about as you were talking is you mentioned when somebody passes away. And so 7 years ago, my son passed away, so we had to sit down and make arrangements for him. And very fortunate and blessed that money was not an issue.
Yeah.
And then just 3 weeks ago, we were back at the table again with my mother-in-law, preparing for her. Again, money was not an issue. We did not have to say, we can't do that, or we got to wait, X number of weeks so that we can raise the money, or we got to go ask people. We got to set up a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
All of those things.
Yeah.
But as I think about that in my family's good fortune, it's that's not everybody's story.
It's not.
And again, that is why it's important to have these conversations before.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, loss and grief is going to visit every single family, every single one of us. So the more prepared we can be, the better it will be, especially in a time of deep loss, whether it's a death, whether it's a medical situation, because that's another area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Medical bankruptcy is high on the list due to medical bills, medical issues.
Absolutely.
So again, thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
Kevin,
can I add 2 things?
Oh, definitely.
So you mentioned it may be 3, but
it's okay. It's okay.
So one of the things that I always say, and people typically laugh at me when I say this, but stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
Right. So having these financial literacy conversation is truly building legacy. And so as I'm working with people, I'm telling them that don't do it alone. Bring your family to the table. Because at the age of 23, this document, which you can definitely share with your audience, it came from me having to bury my dad. So at the age of 23, my dad passed away very unexpectedly, and I'm the oldest. And so I just was like, okay, where do I start? Right? Because I'm just like, I didn't expect this to happen right now. I'm in college, I'm working, doing all the things. So where do I even begin? But I'm super grateful for my godfather he just told me, pause. Go to sleep, because you have been up for hours. You have been up maybe 72 hours at that time. I just was operating off of probably energy drinks. But he said, go to sleep, and then you come back. And when you come back, you be that child that your dad always knew you were. You got this. And I'm grateful that I was already in that position where I had been helping so many customers with going through this process. But that just woke something up inside of me of like, I already know what to do. So I got a notebook, and I just started just jotting down everything that it was that I needed to do. And I just took it piece by piece. I had to become aware of what was at stake, like what did I have to do, but what was the most important thing to work on. And then I just went ahead and just took everything by giving myself a timeline. I didn't try to do everything all at once, because that can be so overwhelming. Right? You got to call Social Security. It's so many different things that you have to do, and maybe even some things that you don't even know that you have to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that brings me to, I know you got 2 other things to share, but that.
I shared other 2.
Oh, okay. Beneficiaries.
Yes.
Beneficiaries. Please update your beneficiaries.
Yes.
Because whomever is the beneficiary is going to get what's coming to them, regardless of how many more times you've been married or divorced or children, whatever. Beneficiaries. Be sure to update your beneficiaries on a regular basis, like an annual. Just go in and check just to be sure. Because I know of real life situations that exes have gotten the insurance money. And I know of a situation right now where an ex was due the money, and they decided, I don't have to give up the money.
You don't.
They don't.
That's so good that you brought up beneficiaries, because as a licensed life insurance agent, I sit down with people, and there is such a struggle with determining who their beneficiary should be. So if you have children that are under 18, you really want to make sure that you are putting down people that you know would take care of your children in the event of. Now, hopefully you have a will and a trust in place. But if you do not, you definitely want to make sure that you know for sure that those people will do what's best by your children.
Right.
If you put the children down, then the children does not get the payout until they're 18, until they're of age. So you just want to make sure that you are properly thinking. Don't think from the place of who will be upset with me, or who I want to take care of, and you forget your children.
Right.
But you really want to make sure that whoever you put down is really going to have your children's best interest at heart. And sometimes it's not family.
And sometimes it's better for it not to be family, because then there's and especially if you know that your family is messy. Don't heap coals on the mess.
Yeah.
I mean, don't. But so again, I thank you so much for being here. We might have to do a part 2, because this is definitely a conversation that matters. So awareness.
Yes,
right?
Awareness. And then the alignment piece is more so giving yourself permission to adjust. So when you have experienced a major loss, whether if it is someone transitioning or someone in the process of transitioning, because I have a girlfriend who her husband was in hospice. And so I was just sharing with her, like, your life is changing already. You have lost the income. So you have to start preparing yourself for the unexpected.
Right.
Yes, God can make a miracle happen. But even if that miracle happened, your life still has changed because this unexpected situation has happened. So what you used to do, you're not going to go back to that.
Right.
So be okay with making those changes. And my cousin asked this question last year of what is one lesson that you had to learn that stood out the most to you in 2025? And for me, it was be okay with doing what God has led you to do and no one else understands.
Not even you.
Right.
Right. So as we prepare to wrap up today, tell our audience how they can work with you.
Sure. So you can contact me at my website, apieceofpeace.co, and it is APIECE of peace, PEACE.co. You can also reach me on Instagram. Everything is at apieceofpeace.co as well.
Thank you so much. And of course, to reach me, Lynn Lewis, the grief educator, you can reach me on Instagram as Grief Coach Lynn, on LinkedIn, Facebook, and as Lynn Lewis, as well as my website, which is Destined to Thrive Grief Coaching. And then you can always connect with me on through the MIKEKINGBIZ Media Center on all of his platforms as well. So until another time, I bid you well. I am Lynn Lewis, your certified grief educator and host of Conversations That Matter, where we explore the people, experiences, and ideas that help us navigate life's many transitions. Loss shows up in many forms, and each one of our conversations offer wisdom, hope, and practical ways to move forward. So join us for another conversation soon.
You are here, helping us give everyone the chance to live a longer, healthier life, free from breast cancer. You are survivors, you are thrivers and supporters. You are the heartbeat of the #1 breast cancer movement in the country. You are making strides against breast cancer.
Making Strides Walk of Central Virginia at Monroe Park on October 17th at 9 a.m.
MIKEKINGBIZ, on the mic with Mike, Richmond's premier business radio platform.
Judge, how you check? You say we going corporate. Nah, we just corner boys with the corner office. We like the cap table, what this is. Not that cap table, boy, we live this.
Look at how business can make the community better. No one does it better than MIKEKINGBIZ, on the mic with Mike. Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on Mike King here, coming to you from the Mike King Biz Call Federal Credit Union Media Center, powered by Icon Realty Group, coming to you from high above Henrico. You can follow me on all the social platforms daily on the Mike RVA, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. The program is called On the Mic with Mike, as well as Saturday, 6 a.m. Eastern. We talk to the best and the brightest. Shout out to all my good friends out in the Richmond area. You know what we're bringing here? The best and the brightest. Michael Buzinski, a.k.a. Buzz, is in the building. Welcome, sir.
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
I'm good. So you got the I don't even know why we're talking now. It's like, should have had this thing running a while back. You are a Renaissance man, sir.
Oh, you're too kind.
No. How many states have you been to?
All 50.
All 50. How many countries have you been to?
36.
36, okay.
And counting.
And counting.
My wife gets mad when we don't go to a new country at least once a year.
This man here is bringing a different perspective. We've talked business, and your idea how you operate business is a little on a different side. We had a conversation about media that me and you have had that I can't have with many people because they don't get this business model of mine. So tell folks who you are, what you do.
So Michael Buzinski, thanks for having me on. I'm the proprietor of Buzzworthy Strategies, and we work with 7- and 8-figure founders who are still the main gear in their business, specifically in their revenue engine. When we say revenue engine, we're talking their marketing, their sales, and their client success. So if they took a vacation for 30 days, their company's not growing.
They'd have a nervous breakdown of being away for 30 days.
You could get them to leave for 30 days would be a godsend, right?
What may have to happen because they don't have the confidence, because as you say, they have the hands in every aspect of the business.
Right. They have, and there's different reasons for it. Most founders that I work with, they have a complex of I do it the best. And that right there is a mindset issue because yes, you do it the best because you get to make the decisions. When we delegate to other people, you take away the authority to make a lot of decisions the owner gets to make on the spot. So they're always going to be about 80% as good as you in your eyes because they only have 80% of the authority because you're not giving them 100% of the authority.
You're not giving them the...
Yeah.
So they're operating handcuffed.
Exactly.
And they're going to bring a different mindset.
100%.
But is it the best because they don't have 100% access to the information?
That's the other side of it, is that everything lives in the founder's head, especially in revenue, right? Why are you the best person to sell your company? Well, 1, you're the most passionate, and 2, you have all the information, and number 3, you make all the decisions. So if a salesperson only has what you've written down, and you only gave them a certain swath of authority to say yes or no to people on the spot, they're not going to sell as well as you. They don't have all of the things that you have. So they're an unfair advantage to them. So we help systemize that sales, that marketing, and the client success processes and integrate them so the team as a whole can collectively make better decisions than you as a single founder.
All right, so you've been in Richmond, you said 2 years?
2.5 years now.
2.5 years. Now you've been a lot of places, and you said this reminds you of St. Louis.
Yeah.
How do you see the Richmond ecosystem, and where do you think it's going to be? Because you're 2 years behind you. Mm-hmm. But say going forward, what's exciting and what's concerning?
I think that the exciting piece about Richmond is the diversity. And I'm not talking like a political diversity, like what they talk about on talk radio and stuff like that usually. I'm talking about the diversity of thought and the openness to meet new people. I've lived in 8 states in my life, and there are places that I've lived that are very closed off. It's a good old boy system. When I was in Springfield, Illinois, we lived there for 4 years before we moved here to Richmond. And breaking into that, there was only 100,000 people in that town. Breaking into the inner circles in that place was almost impossible as a newbie. Just plain and simple. Here, I meet people like you, and I meet people like Liz Baker that we both know, and Jeff and Greg over there at Black Iris. Everybody's like, oh, you have something, you help people. And when you have something of value to helping other people, the people in Richmond that I talk to, they're like, how do we get you connected with the people you can help?
For sure.
And I love that about that's a mentality. That's kind of like, you're from Philadelphia, brotherly love, and people are trying to help each other out. I like that. The thing about Virginia that I'm worried about is the politics of the Northern Virginia leaking into the Richmond space and kind of like washing away the character that I see, the authenticity that I see in the people here. I really like the fact that it's a small town feel in a big city setting.
One of the things, so I asked a guy from Northern Virginia, what do you think? And he went to the University of Richmond. I said, what do you think about Richmond? He says, we don't.
Right.
We don't. Why would we think about, because it's another world.
Right.
And coming from the Northeast, I don't know where time slowed down at. It wasn't in D.C. because we used to live in Gaithersburg, Maryland.
Okay.
Maybe it was Fredericksburg, where all of a sudden, I'll get back to you right away does not mean right away. That may mean a week.
You got an island time.
Yes, when we get to it, nothing is urgent and nothing is immediate.
Right.
So the concern is what will become of Richmond.
If you get the big city feel of like Alexandria and Sterling, and everybody's just hustling, bustling, and I lived in big cities before. San Francisco was the biggest city that I ever lived in, and there you're just a number. And here I feel like if you're open to helping other people, you're less of a number. Well, one, there's less of us, right? Like Alexandria is bigger than Richmond altogether, and I consider it just a burb.
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
You know what I'm saying?
It is.
And so it's just a burb up against the Potomac, and it by itself, it doesn't have its own, what's the word I'm looking for, personality as a city, where Richmond has its own personality.
Yes.
Henrico has its own personality. Glen Allen has its own personality. Petersburg, everything around Richmond has individual personalities, and it's allowed Richmond to stand out as its own. And there's a lot of history behind why that is, but I think it's to our benefit, because now you're not just part of this glob of towns. I lived in Sacramento Valley when I was younger, and there were little tiny towns like Santa Rosa, not Santa Rosa, now I'm going to forget the name of it. But anyway, these little tiny burbs that just got sucked into Sacramento, they lost their identities.
That's a lot of times where things go. The town, even like when you look at Richmond and it goes out, we live in Henrico here, and when we moved here, it stopped at a certain point.
Right.
It just keeps going.
Right.
It just keeps going. And now all of a sudden what used to be, when I grew up, we moved 20 miles outside of Philadelphia.
Okay.
20 miles now to go from, say, Richmond to the zoo in Moseley out that way. It's far, but it's not that far because you're riding and seeing things.
Yeah.
You do that 50 years ago, you're packing a lunch because it's like there's nothing to do.
Exactly.
Because the city kept encroaching further and further out. But the energy of the location, and I say to people all the time, is Richmond.
Right.
Henrico and Chesterfield, for all the things that they do, are okay. But when Richmond's on fire, it helps.
Right.
When they have, so a person flies in, I was just, so shout out to my good friends over at Richmond Region Tourism. Thanks for being sponsored of the program. The idea of it is influencers and bloggers came from around the world to Richmond. But they might have stayed in Chesterfield.
Right.
They went here, they went there.
Right.
But person says, well, where'd you just come back from? I came back from Richmond.
Right. Because these are what we would consider bedroom communities.
Yes.
Right. And so the business hub is Richmond. You're seeing now that you have the headquarters in Richmond, and now they're having their satellites.
They're going out into the community.
In the community, so they can be more accessible to the local population. Because if I can do business near my neighborhood, I'm going to go and do business. I'm not driving so 20 minutes. It's so funny. I lived in Alaska for 17 years. 20-minute drive, that doesn't take you anywhere. That doesn't even get you out of Anchorage. Like if you actually want to go to the next town, you had to drive 45 minutes. That's the next town. You could drive for an hour and a half from one side of Anchorage to the other side of Anchorage because you have to drive around a mountain to get to one bedroom community to the other. It's all part of the municipality. So, but here, 20 minutes is like for an eternity. You're like, what do you mean?
I got to do 20 minutes. It does separate you from other opportunities because people think like that. So when people come into town with, like you said, diversity of thought, next thing you know, it changes things how people see it. Because, and I joke with people when they say, if it wasn't for a jailbreak of Northerners coming here, Richmond would still be in the dark ages.
Possibly.
Because when I go to, whether it's St. Louis, a big city, I don't need to know Buzz's family history, what church your grandmama went to. Oh, your grandmama went to school with my grandfather, all of that stuff.
Right.
We don't need it. You deliver them what you're supposed to when you do it.
Right.
Small towns are different. I was knocking on doors. Doors are a little open.
Right.
It was only until Jack Barry and Bill Martin from the Valentine come on in.
All right.
And next thing you know, Mike's good.
There you go.
Mike, I vouch for. He's a made. It's like you're a made man now.
Yeah, all right.
And then all of a sudden it turns into, okay, it works. It carries weight in a small town.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about the tech side of and founders. Where you are, what groups have you gone to and been to that you found that were helpful and interesting to you?
Here in Richmond?
Yes.
So far, my favorite is the Black Irish Social Club.
Okay.
That's over on Broad Street. Jeff and Greg over there, great guys. They have a good vision, and they again, a diverse vision of business, social, and entertainment, right? And they're doing it in a place that's kind of dear to my heart, in that the building that they're in is an old recording studio. And I started my business originally as a recording studio back in 2005. And it was I learned very quickly that surviving off of starving musicians was a bad business plan.
Yes,
that's how I ended up doing what I do now. But when I saw the space there, where they have a cigar bar there, they have a whiskey bar there, but they have art gallery downstairs, and that's new every month. We're going to be speaking there on September 30th, so they do business talks there. They have bands there, the whole thing. So to me, you're finding people when they're not in business mode.
Okay.
And I like to meet people in that mode because I now know who they are. And when I can understand who you are and we end up talking about business, because business people talk about business what do you do? Well, I own a business. Oh, I own a business. And now you're brothers. You're entrepreneur brothers, right? But now I know who you are outside of what your business is. So when you start asking me questions, I can solve problems to the person, not necessarily always by the numbers for the business. So I like meeting people in the social space.
So you're talking to a person, a founder, they're successful. But like you're saying, they have their hand in every aspect of the business. And so even my parents owned businesses. They were very successful. But we never went anywhere.
Right.
We never went anywhere. Why? Because they were always tied to the business. And so when I get to Virginia, I'm talking about hustle. I mean, Philadelphia, we pride ourselves on hustling. And regardless of people saying about us, the city of brotherly shove, and all those things, yes, we are the kings of pettiness. But the idea of it is, my dad would be hustling. And so I'm sitting down with Art Espy and Brian Anderson of the Chamber, and they're talking about you can only hustle to a certain point.
Right.
You can't tell hustlers that, because they think that you can continue to grow it and grow it. But they're like, certain things have to have systems in place to grow it and scale it. They think they do have systems in place. They, for the most part, don't have it written down that they could hand the book to somebody else. They're going to pull you over here and say, hey, Mike, this is how I do this thing. And then that thing is done. Oh, and on Tuesdays we do that.
And I'm sitting here writing it all
right,
down.
Instead of them saying, okay, here is, when I left conservative radio, I said to the guy, thanks for giving me the keys to the kingdom. Because without that, I didn't know how it worked from the financial model.
Right.
And that's a conversation we had. A lot of people don't get that.
Right.
Okay.
You talk about a couple of things in there. The difference between growth and scale. You can hustle growth. You can't hustle scale.
Oh.
Hustle does not scale. Because if everything runs through one person, that person only has 24 hours in a day. you will run out of time and bandwidth. That's not scalable. Scalability is repeatability across more than one person. And that's where your systems come in, right? So there's human optimization and efficiencies, and then there's machine or robots and computers and stuff like that. Where they come together are where systems make it happen. And what happens is that our founders, we all did it. I didn't go anywhere. There was a year in my first 3 years in business. There was 1 year that I didn't even get out of the municipality of Anchorage for 365 days. That place is only 6 miles wide and 9 miles tall. From north to south, 9 miles. It's only east to west is 6 miles. And I was only probably going between 3 miles between my condo at the time and my office, back and forth for 365 days. So I remember, and I had a staff of, at that time, I had a staff of 12. We were just getting going. But there was 12 people to do the business. But for some reason, what we all do is we build the business around us. So we start with, hey, I can do this thing. And people hire me to do this thing. This is awesome. Well, now there's a bunch of people want me to do this thing. I need people to help me do more of this thing. Right? But it's still me doing the thing. You just are helping me delegate some of the pieces of the thing, but it's always going to be me. And so what ends up happening is you build this business around you and not void of you. And at some point, you become the bottleneck. And that's where growth stops, and you can never get to scale because you never create systems that existed without you in the center.
So you run into a founder, you're talking to him. You clearly know he's the bottleneck.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks he's an MVP because, I've grown this thing. I've grown it from the ground up. It takes me to run it. What's that conversation like? And what's it like when the light bulb comes on that they get it? That they get, I'm the problem?
Well, when we look at entrepreneurship, when we first get into business, the first thing we need to accomplish as a business owner is financial independence, the ability to print money through our business, okay? Because without cash flow, we're nothing, right? Cash is king.
That's my father's line.
There you go.
Yes.
All right. So the second thing, there's the next phase is entrepreneur freedom. Because if you have all the money and you have no time to spend it, what are you doing it for, right? You don't have time with your kids. You don't have time with your wife. You don't have time for yourself. You don't have time for your fitness. There's all sorts of things that we give up. There's a joke that says, hey, I started a business so that I'm willing to work 80 hours a week so I don't have to have a 40-hour week job, right? And so it comes from reality. So if you don't have the systems to where you can step out of your business, Mike Michalowicz is an author, well-known author of Profit First, The Pumpkin Plan. Well, he also has one called Clockwork, and he talks about the systems around in the overall business. And he talks about the ability to step away from your business for 30 days. If you can't walk away from your business for 30 days, you don't own a business. You own a job. And if you own a job and you can't take a vacation, you don't have a really good boss.
Yeah. So Buzz is here with some words of wisdom. 3 weeks ago, I had a conversation with my friends who own Icon Realty Group. And we're like, what did COVID do? They said, when did you realize that, the business could run on its own without us being here? When we got stuck in Florida for 3 months during COVID. We got stuck there and the business continued. And next thing you know, we realized we don't have to be there all the time. Right. All right, so Mike is here, Buzz is here. All right, sir, explain this rule to us.
The rule of 26. So the rule of 26 is for my folks that are sitting in the 5 to 6 figure range in revenue. They might have a brick and mortar, or they might have started everything online, but they might not even have started, or maybe they have a website that doesn't do anything for them. And so the rule of 26 shows you how 3 key performance indicators, all multiplied by 26% or increased by 26%, will double your revenue coming from your website. And so I'll give you the rule because the rule is easy. If you can increase your traffic by 26%, you can increase your conversion rate from that traffic. So for every 100 people come in, say there's 10 people come in, I increase that to 12.5 people. That's 26% increase. And then my average revenue per client by 26%. If I just do that, just a little bit each, I'll double my business. And that will get you to 7 figures. You just keep doing that.
There you go. How can we reach you, sir?
If you want a free copy of my book, you can go to ruleof26.com. If you're a 7-figure business or an 8-figure business and you're the founder-led business, specifically in the services space, so B2B services, commercial services, go to buzzworthy.biz. The manuscript to my new book, Build a Founder-Free Revenue Engine, is at the bottom of that homepage at buzzworthy.biz.
Another man from Alaska. I spent years in Delta Junction.
Sorry about that.
It's crazy. So we would leave there to go to Fairbanks. There was a bus that ran there twice a day.
Okay.
Once to take everybody there. But we didn't make it all the way. We'd always stop at, and this is in the early to mid 80s.
There's not much out there.
True. And so we would stop at this gas station and everybody would, and they always told you, have your survival gear with you.
Mm-hmm.
And one time, I went and didn't have it, and the bus broke down.
Oh, no.
But the bus broke down at the rest stop.
Oh,
and so but the rest stop was really nothing but like a little antique store. Everybody piles in there. We're on a bus and the heat goes out. The things are freezing in our pockets. But what it taught us, is to be prepared.
Oh, yeah.
And, there's a certain work ethic for folks who do that, who live in areas like that.
Alaska teaches you independence, self-reliance, and teamwork.
For sure.
Because if anybody is in a need, if you run across an Alaskan, they will give you the shirt off your back to make sure that you survive.
I saw a show the other day. The road was so bad they wouldn't allow rental cars on it. Like we're not.
The rental cars are actually prohibited from going on certain roads in Alaska, and if their GPS catches you on that, they'll charge you extra for it.
That's what we're talking about. It is the mindset of business owners.
Oh yeah,
trying, like you said. I don't want a regular job in 40 hours. Here I'm working 29 hours a day trying to work this thing and keep it going that people don't understand. That's where like Richmond is business entrepreneurship friendly.
This is the night that 10 years, 15, 20 years, you're going to be looking back and saying, I was here. There's an inflection point happening in technology. We get to lead it, and we get to lead it right here in Richmond.
We must prepare existing worker students and communities to be able to use AI so that no one is left behind.
The real story isn't AI itself. The real story is what AI makes possible. AI is the new keyboard. It's the new mouse. It's not the answer, it's the instrument. And the more people we hand that instrument to, the more possibilities we turn into realities.
People want to be together when you're making a difference. How can we make Richmond, make the region, and in part, all of Virginia, the most AI ready? A lot of people ask me, do we just want to be the Silicon Valley of the East Coast? The quote everybody keeps on having me re-ask is, no, my mission is for Silicon Valley to be the Richmond of the West Coast.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike King here down in the big city of Petersburg. I got my man, the Councilman Howard Myers here. So I would say welcome to the program, but we're in your town.
Hey, Mike, thanks for coming to us.
Okay, so we don't have long to talk because this man is busy.
Oh, we running.
Okay, so exactly what are we doing down here today?
Mike, we're doing our grocery giveaway today here at Sycamore Towers. We're going over to Lafayette House, and then we're going to Laura Gardens.
Okay, and this is something that's done on a regular basis?
Regular basis, from now on through December. Through December.
Okay. And so we're inside, we have the footage. It's a madhouse in there. It is packed. People need help, and you guys are providing service.
I hear every day that their food stamps have been hacked. That doesn't help the person who needs food.
No, that does not.
No.
One of the things that we're talking about, and we've had a conversation, you are running for office once again.
Yeah.
And this is a business show that people know me before. Business does help society be better. All those things have happened. You're helping people get food, get housing, all those things. Explain why that's so important to you, because you've done it for a very long time.
It's important to me because family is still. Up in Richmond, Virginia, over in the north side, that's what we did. We helped our neighbors, made sure that everyone had some needs, especially our seniors, together, running toilets, all of those things back in the day. It was a promise from our family to always give them.
And so today's a big day, but there's always things going on in the community here. Touch on really quickly some of the other initiatives that you have going.
Other initiatives here, so we've got housing, rent to own, we have down payment assistance, we have a plethora of food giveaways here, not only for our seniors, but for the entire city of Petersburg. We do our whole city thing at Mount Olivet Baptist Church on every first Monday from now until December. Working on our infrastructure, our casino, and all of those things that are magical for us here.
It is a thriving business community. So really quickly, touch on that because people think it's a casino. There's a lot more things happening in town.
This is how we're talking. The casino is not going to save Petersburg. It's going to be thriving businesses that help support the casino and the city of Petersburg collectively. This is not just about a casino. This is about a multitude of small businesses coming together to kind of continue to grow wealth here in the city.
That's right, that Councilman Howard Myers is here. You guys are having
town hall, I believe, August 16th.
We'll be down there, MDO will be there. That's here. It's the madhouse down here in Petersburg. It is a thriving community with always helping the citizens who are in need. Mike King, Howard Myers, how can you find you, sir?
804-590-7988. 804-590-7988. Call the clerk of court, not court, I'm sorry, the clerk of City Council at Tangy Hill at 804-733-2332.
See, ladies and gentlemen, he didn't just give you his email address. He said, call him with the phone, and he got it in his pocket.
I get my phone number out all the time.
That's what we're talking about. One of Mike Howard Myers. The man got to go. He got work to do.
Yeah, we got
Thanks, now. Take care.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic. Mike King coming to you from the MIKEKINGBIZ Call Federal Media Center, coming to you from high above Henrico. Yes, I'm in Henrico. Thank you, Chesterfield, for all that you did. So, you can follow me on social platforms, which is On the Mic with Mike, MIKEKINGBIZ. You come, and it's on the Mic with Mike, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Monday through Friday, Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. in the East. That's where we are. Okay, folks, you know what it is. Here's a big day today. There's all kind of stuff going on, but our good friends from Childsavers are in the building. Welcome, ladies. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so we got Lisa, we got Portia. Portia, we got history.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. You know, you're a veteran of the program.
Yes.
That was years ago.
Yes, my son was in 3rd grade at the time.
And now you're looking like a model out there. He's a drummer and everything.
He's glowed up.
Yes, that's for sure. So, ladies, tell us who you are, what you do.
Would you like to start?
Absolutely. So my name is Lisa. I work at Childsavers in Churchill, part of Richmond. I am the Child Development Services Director, so we work with early care providers. And if I can say one thing, Mike.
There you go, yes.
Today is National Child Care Appreciation Day. And so this is a day that is set aside that we honor and salute and uplift the amazing people, more specifically, it's usually females, who show up every day to do this incredible work to make sure that the workforce development can go to work knowing that their children are in care, their children are being cared for.
I always ask people who are in the saving the world business, and that's what this is. Who takes care of the caregiver? Because the caregiver won't stop. I know I married one, and sometimes it could almost come to blows to start talking about we need to chill. You guys, people in the business of taking care of others, you hear a lot. And you hear a lot of heavy things. How does that not take you down or affect you personally so that you can show up on Tuesday after you heard something horrific on Monday?
A special person. It takes a special person. I believe that early care providers were created to operate and be in the spaces that they are. Early care providers are folks who, to your point, Mike, they wear multiple hats. In many cases, they are what we like to call unsung heroes, right? Because they don't get the recognition. They're paid less than most professions, but yet they are the only profession that touch a child who will at some point go into all types of profession. So they get to teach all children. And what I love about early care professionals is that you don't hear them complain a lot.
No.
They just do their jobs. And we're just so fortunate at Childsavers that we have built a long-lasting relationship with the early care providers. We've been doing this work now since the early 80s. And we actually work with about 400 child care providers every year, which give us the opportunity to indirectly and directly impact about 25,000 children. And you said who helped them, who shows up for early care professionals? I think it's places like Childsavers. We show up and we are that sounding board for them. We listen to them, we encourage them, we support them, and we give them the tools and the resources that they need so that they can be successful.
Yeah, to Lisa's point, I'm Portia. I work with Lisa at Childsavers. I'm the grants manager. So I look at all the reports and grants and the data. We have a great data and analytics team. Shout out to them. Preston, we see you. And Jalen too. But what we're seeing is that the early child care educators, and we're trying to use the word educators because they are teachers. Right. Just like K through 12 teachers, and they are essential, but often expected to be invisible. Mm-hmm. It is a workforce led by, not just dominated by, but led by women, and usually women of color.
That's right.
And so the pay scale, as Lisa was saying, is not even, but it is a workforce that's essential. Both my children had pre-K. Experiences can be varied and different even among one family. So I see that the work that Child Development Services at Childsavers, Lisa and her team, we call them CDS, Child Development Services, CDS. Every day they're working with 4,000 to 6,000 early child care educators per year, about 300 to 400 programs. Multiple people can work in those programs, so we can't track everyone. But we can say that they are getting opportunities for professional development and career pathways. One best kept secret, although we don't want to keep it that way anymore. So listen. Voluntary registration. Yes. What we call VR. And VR is home-based early child care education. So a family or an individual can operate a child care education center in their home.
Really?
Yes, they can. VR. And one of our colleagues, Rachel did it on the weekends and evenings. You can have your regular 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and then additional work that you love as a VR provider. And Lisa and the Child Development Services CDS team does train the VR workforce, and once they become registered, they have access to the Child and Adult Care Food Program, which allows them to be reimbursed for serving healthy, nutritious meals. And they have access to the Child Care Aware of Central Virginia, which allows them to be registered and listed on their directory. So I was playing with that CCA Child Care Aware directory just to see, and I found that one of my neighbors is a VR provider. And these VR providers, it keeps women in the workforce. If you leave the workforce as a working mom, it is very hard to get through. So I myself, when my kids were younger, I stayed part-time for about 12 years. so that I could be there for my children, but also work and stay viable.
Because one of the things we found out is I met a lady, she said, my husband is a fine gentleman, but men only wear one, maybe two hats. Women are wearing a whole bunch of hats. I'm sitting there interviewing a lady who comes on the program a lot. Her daughter is blowing up her phone. She's like, she knows that I'm on the radio now. She says she's calling me something. Is your dad there? Yes, I know he's there. He's in the next room. But she won't go ask Dad.
That's right.
Like, why ask the assistant manager? Assistant manager has no power. He don't have answers. The answers were given to him, and then he relays them to the troops. It's a lot of pressure that's put on. When women step off the treadmill, they fall behind from a business standpoint. Sometimes for the most part, you never show up. You can't catch up.
That's right.
And so COVID kind of was like the equalizer. It sent everybody home.
Yes.
It kind of reset
almost
something.
everybody home.
It did. There were a bunch of people who weren't at home.
Correct.
Like the providers in the front line.
That's right.
They were front line.
And we needed them. So I had on the superintendent of Chesterfield schools, and I asked him, when the kids went back to school, what did you have to teach them? I'm thinking old school, reading, writing, arithmetic, all that. So he goes, no, we had to teach them how to engage with each other. They hadn't done that. And you had to stop and think. Those are all those things. So you, at Childsavers, you guys are working with kids at a young age because that can set the foundation
Absolutely.
of where we go.
Absolutely.
And we weren't, I know especially in our culture, we wasn't that big on going, getting help. Especially from a man's standpoint, from a boy's standpoint, boys turn into men. How are you? I'm good. You got 3 flat tires and you're riding on a rim.
Right.
There's no way that you're good. But maybe now. So you guys have been in the field. Are we better than we used to be with getting help?
That is a tough question to answer. Let me just say we're moving in the right direction. I don't know if I would say we're better. So let me give you an example, Mike. You just mentioned being a male versus female. So when you think about the fact that we are now in this is 2026, we still have Black boys, 2, 3, and 4-year-old preschoolers who are in childcare who are being suspended at a higher rate than their peers in their classroom. And what that is doing, and I don't think that we really realize this, early care is the first opportunity for children to be in a learning environment. Now you're going to tell this little 3-year-old that he's not worthy, and you're going to kick him out of that program. We don't realize what we are doing to that individual at the age of 3. And if we don't ensure that that child has the resiliency tools to bounce back, now we put them on a trajectory where education is not a priority for them because they learned that behavior at 3.
Okay, let me ask you this, right? Do you think that happens because the person teaching them does not come from that environment where they don't share a similar world? What may be frowned upon in one community is understood. There's a school I used to deal with, and it was an all-boys school. Now, I was a nerd before being a nerd was cool. I was. The thing is, though, they go outside every single day. They don't care about the weather. We're some of that. Now you put that in a classroom, those boys, and they're like if they go to a regular school, they may take some heat because they're not the most macho, but they fit in here. How about if you put them in a place that doesn't take them out every day? The teacher, maybe it's a woman, maybe she's really soft-spoken, maybe she may find that as a problem if she doesn't come from that world. Maybe she has kids, maybe she has daughters. She doesn't understand the roughhousing. My wife's best friend they told her she couldn't have kids. And so she got pregnant at 40. And around, 52, she's like, And our son turns 14, 15, like, and his dad had passed away. Like, where did he learn this man ridiculousness from? Like, where? The one that my wife's like, Mike, stop rolling on the shopping carts. All the things that guys know, there was not a meeting that teach you the stupidness. It's just things you do. It's frowned upon. Maybe that teacher looks at that activity and says, it needs to be corrected. And next thing, now all of a sudden you've gone from the general to all of a sudden you're different.
Yeah, so I hear what you're saying, and I kind of believe it's a combination of everything you just mentioned, Mike. I think it's lived experience, of course. Lived experience is powerful. I also believe it's educating the early care providers to understand that not every child is going to learn on a cookie cutter approach.
Okay.
And not just boys, but we have girls. We have children in general who cannot sit in this chair like Portia and I are sitting for 30 minutes and not start moving around and just wanting to just be present in our own bodies. And when children are given the opportunity to truly move and be active, that's when they actually learn the most.
Do you think it's reasonable? Years ago, I hate to be like, I'm the old man, get off my lawn. But we told kids, get off those computers, get off those phones. It's too much time. The pandemic shows up, get on that computer because you got to go to school. Kids do forget that. People do a million things. How can you expect that they're going to sit there in one place and do one thing for 30 or 40 minutes? I think it's hard for how we went to school before is different now of what we can expect. And so I think that for work that you guys are doing, it's important because there's a lot of pressure that people put on kids. People just don't put on, society puts it on. It's all about the go, get me my stuff society that puts a lot of pressure on them. Okay, so how does a person engage with Childsavers?
Oh, many ways. So we are located in Churchill at 200 North 22nd Street. For those of you who are from the Richmond area, we are in the old WRVA building. We overlook the city, amazing view. You can reach us via Facebook, Instagram, but the best way that people learn about Childsavers is through word of mouth. It's through referrals. It's through those relationships that matter. Because again, we have been doing this work for so long. Childsavers is well known in the community, well known amongst the providers and parents in general.
Okay, Portia, let's talk about the stigma of getting help.
Sure. If I could just add to what Lisa is saying. So Childsavers has been around since 1924.
Yes.
And originally founded by a woman in 1924.
Shocking.
And really to give mental and physical care, mental and physical health care to all children, regardless of their family's ability to pay. We still have that tradition. It's still part of our ethos. We are led by a CEO of color, and both our CDS director and our other arm, mental health services director, represent underrepresented communities. So we've always led from the communities that we serve. So that lends to an easier way to gain trust and long-term confidence. The Childsavers continuum of care is prevention and intervention. So as Lisa was saying, Child Development Services is a child's first foray into socialization beyond their family group. And so that partnership between the early child care educator and the parent or the caregiver, that original partnership is really important, because as a child progresses through school, their early experiences does set them up to either love school or to feel like they don't belong. And then for the parents themselves, knowing that they are working with an early child care educator that is trustworthy and skilled, but also supported, that person is not working alone, but they have the support of their immediate center, or if they're home-based, they can call on Lisa and CDS for supports, ongoing training, free, low-cost training, online, and asynchronous on-site, all different ways. And so that helps, because as children get older, as parents, especially if we are parents of color or ethnic or racialized parents, that stereotype threat is real. So as Lisa was talking about, if there is an African American or Black infant, toddler, or preschooler who is not allowed to go to the child care center anymore because he's been suspended, the parent is not always able to advocate for their child if that educator is not open to hearing their experiences, or if there is that stereotype threat where they already have you in mind as one type of person, usually a caricature, because they don't want to acknowledge your humanity. So so this early child care education foundation is huge. So the continuum of care, mental health services, which works in tandem with child development services at Childsavers, they offer outpatient clinic services in Churchill, beautiful Churchill, in the beautiful iconic WRVA building. But we have colorful walls, we have professional art. Our therapists do a trauma-informed play, sand tray, and art therapy. So children that come, families who come, they're scared, but they're literally walking into an art gallery that's made with children and families in mind. There's school-based services, because not everyone can go to therapy during therapy hours. So it's right at school, 16 Richmond public schools, 6 Hopewell Cities public schools, and 3 Colonial Heights public schools, and counting. So if there are school systems that want Childsavers on site, please do call us. Or school systems who have pre-K embedded into their programs, please do call us, because we have that continuum of care. But also caregivers, the stress that we feel, the stigma. We have caregiver services, which overlaps very much with child development services, mental health services, and child development services together. Consult, although MHS does provide the perinatal and postpartum mental health services, CDS does inform them on the developmental stages. And so that is a tandem collaboration. So we are trying to go all across the scale of everything a family or a child needs. As our CEO, Robert Bowling, says, every child in our community is the responsibility of every adult. And we take that to heart. Is that good?
Yes. There we go. That is something.
Yes,
so which
Mr.
areas, shout out to Mr. Bowling. It's one thing to have a dynamic visionary leader. And the created environment where people feel good about coming there and doing that kind of work. Which areas do you guys cover?
Oh, goodness. 71 localities.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So, Central Virginia, Southeast Virginia, part of South Side Virginia. 71 localities.
And we have an immediate response mental health services hotline that you can call 24/7, 365 days a year, free, because it's grant funded. And MHS therapists do consult with CDS, Child Development Services, and caregiver services, but they can meet you on site within 30-mile radius of Churchill. So, for instance, when there have been school shootings, our immediate response team was available and gave that urgent response. But on the other hand, if there are certain situations that are not clinically in crisis mode, but are still urgent, it fills that gap too, because there are some hotlines that will not serve you unless you're in crisis mode. And so that is a gap that it serves. But going back to stigma, we try to make this conversational. We're definitely all relational. We've all been there. We understand. And so we're trying to combat the stigma. It is hard, especially coming from a racialized or ethnic background. There are more obstacles. When I see the data and I see how many Asian Americans use Childsavers services, and it's one, and I know that one is me.
That wasn't a hard one to figure out. Wonder who this is.
I know, but it really makes you see that we cover a lot of ground, but we're constantly working to really cover more people within the service areas where we already are, and to expand. And we really do adapt to the communities we serve. I mean, how else do you turn 102 if you can't do that?
You keep changing. You definitely do it.
You have Absolutely.
To so, Lisa, you came with your talking points. You came with your marching order from the communications department. Did we cover everything we were supposed to?
Well, I think we did. And let me just say that I'm just so pleased that we have somebody like Portia, on our team because she can articulate, she can bring the facts, and she's passionate about what she does. So to have a grant writer who truly believe in your mission work, that in itself is amazing. And so I just want to give a shout out to Portia for just being here, for making this connection with you. I think the only thing that I just really want people to understand is that, and I often say this, early care is workforce development. Let me say that again. Early care is workforce development. We are beginning to plant seeds in the lives of the most smallest citizens in Virginia. And with those seeds being planted, in years to come, we'll be able to reap those benefits because we should have a more successful economy because our workforce is more prepared.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Childsavers, one last time. How can we get information about Childsavers?
There's a couple of different ways. We have lunch and learns.
Oh, you do?
We have, and you're definitely invited.
Okay, what you guys gonna have over there?
The next is May 19th, and it's usually like there's one in June. I can't recall the date, but I can send it to you. It is free. We provide lunch. Robert Bowling gives.
Tell Mr. Bowling I said, hey.
Oh, he can
I'm
come in
gonna come
person. Please come and say hi in person. We'd love to see you. And I also want to just give a shout out to Lisa. It is so amazing to work with such a phenomenal woman, right? Lisa Thompson is the director of Childsavers Child Development Services. She's been there for a long time. She's been a teacher, a center director, a supervisor. She is the authentic full package. And many of us at Childsavers, Lisa is our person.
She's the go-to person.
She is.
So how do we find the next generation of you guys who go do the work? Clearly, it ain't for the money.
Right.
I don't think you guys getting rich off of this one.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
I can't believe that. Helping people doesn't pay.
Not at all.
Like that.
But I think part of it too is just showing up because when you're a nonprofit and you're a woman and you're a minority or an ethnic or racialized minority, you are not always welcome in all those spaces. So we're both over 50. And we look good.
Yeah, young people.
Very good.
We're both over 50. We have weathered all the storms so that we are leaving an opening for others who want to be in nonprofits, whether it's early child care education, mental health services, or nonprofits in general. We just have to keep showing up and understanding that sometimes they're not going to give you the skills, but what we have is different. It's a craft, right? It's an art form because it's people, it's building families, it's building villages, it's also building supports beyond child development and mental health services. We recently had our Supper at Sunset, our annual fundraiser, and we are so overwhelmingly touched by all the organizations that donated in-kind items, everyone from Firehouse Theater and Star Foster Dance Company to Cadence Theater and many, many others. And they really took the time because they care about what we do. And they really made those auction packages huge. So because of that, this fundraising is a way to get involved. A lot of people don't have time, but the funds do help us to have more outreach and more engagement. And we stay in touch with you. When you donate to Childsavers, you partner with us, you are a friend, and you become part of
So I don't have to get scared when the phone rings and it's Lisa and Portia going, hey. I'm like, oh, Lord.
Don't get scared.
Don't get scared. Don't get scared.
Don't get scared.
My dad would always say, changing the world ain't cheap, easy, or free.
Yeah.
Money got to change hands somewhere. And that's why I show love to the sponsors because they don't get scared when you guys call them.
Right.
You go through hard times, you're providing the services, then all of a sudden you need some help. Those are the people that we give a shout out to and say thank you because it's part of their business that says we're going to do good. This business is about business helping society be better. That's what it is. Right. So we'd like to thank you guys for coming. Portia, it was good when I saw your son with my mug up there in the hotel
window. Of my son, that's another reason we're here. He is now in middle school, just turned 12, but we are here for the next generation, directly and indirectly. It's the village that we're building.
There you go. That's Childsavers. One last time, how can people find you?
www.childsavers.org. Churchill in the former WRVA building. You cannot miss us. Lunch and Learn next one's on May 19th. And we just
social media, Facebook and Instagram.
It's going to be there. All the things that you guys are doing. Shout out to Danielle Gilbert. Shout out to Mr. Bowling. Tell him I said, hey, on the mic is Mike, RVA's Best Business Media Program. Portia was there with us when we were over at ESPN, the ESPN studio. Yes, we were having some good times there. But we moved. We moved back to Henrico. So.
Moving up.
George and Weezy. There we go. On the mic is Mike. We'd like to thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. You're Rupa. I finally get to meet you in person. I see you all the time. I think we traded a million emails. It's good to see you. I was like, I know.
Why? Yeah.
MIKEKINGBIZ, the social enterprise brand on a mission. MIKEKINGBIZ.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Mic. Mike King here, coming to you from the MIKEKINGBIZ Call Federal Credit Union Media Center, powered by Icon Realty Group. Yes, our good folks down in Rockets Landing. So we're here. What we do is we're here every day, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. You can follow us on socials that way, which are Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as YouTube. And then we are on ESPN Richmond every Saturday from 6 to 7 a.m. What we do is we talk to the best and the brightest who are out here. There's an event that's having the streets buzzing. And now it's Disrupt RVA. Now, I spent a lot of years in the Army, and folks would think that, I'm the buttoned up guy. No, I am not. I gave Uncle all that buttoned upness. This is what's left. But when I hear Disrupt RVA, that kind of concerns me. It does seem like that could be a little something, but we got the folks here who are making it happen. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so tell us who you are and what you do.
So I'm Roxanne Brown. I'm the CEO of The Change Decision.
I'm Ed Cook. I'm the president of The Change Decision. And together we're the co-owners of Disrupt RVA.
Okay, so Disrupt RVA is it nationwide?
It's international, yeah.
It's international. How did that come to your radar, and why was it interesting?
Well, it actually landed in Richmond in 2017, and we just saw it on LinkedIn and on a whim. We just decided to go just to see what it was all about. But at that time, it was called Disrupt HR. And we had just started our business, and we were trying to understand what's going on in the Richmond area. And so we were really interested. And when we got there, we were really amazed at the energy there. One of the things that took us by surprise is the format of the small talks. They're 5-minute talks. But the energy of the crowd was really cool. And part of that was what we learned is that when you go to a Disrupt event, you don't sit back and be entertained. You have a job too, and that's to encourage the speakers. And that's because it's so hard. It's such a hard format, this speaking format that's required with Disrupt.
All righty, so let's go back. Well, we're gonna come back to Disrupt. Tell us about your business, because you had talked about something that's kind of near and dear to me is joy. Joy, and I know times I can come and be the hokey one. I get that, But there people say there's no I in team. I'm like, yeah, there is, because if I don't do my job, your job gets harder. And you know what happens? We don't have joy on the team.
That's right.
And so we talked to us about the concept of what you do and the impact it has on a business.
Yeah, so the idea is that things are changing all the time. So we're guiding businesses through whatever kind of change they're doing. It could be merger, acquisition, new piece of technology. And you need to make that go well. But we want to go beyond that. So make that go well, and also, because of how you do it, have an impact on the culture, what we call growing joy at work. So it's beyond just achieving the basic goals of the project or the idea. It's constantly thinking as well about how are we feeding that forward into the culture and lifting everyone up. Because the idea is that people come with all their talents and all their concerns and all their good stuff and all their junk, and all that is coming in to play in the business. And if you're putting them into a joyful frame, then they're going to do better and the business is going to do better.
All righty, sir. There are people who are naysayers, who the bottom line folks who say, let's just chop, let's get to it.
Right.
There is a bottom line effect to organizations that get along. Mm-hmm. And so touch on that, because there are people who say, that's all that, mushy stuff, can't we all just get along? All that, and we're like, no, organizations that have that work better.
Mm-hmm. They do. And that you talked about your experience in the Army. I was in the Navy, and I have an engineering background. I have all the credentials to be a curmudgeon.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, you do. Being in the Army, I'm like, okay, a Navy guy who, is an engineer, he wears suspenders and a belt. I'm just saying. For folks who don't understand, that's, there's double protection there. Nothing is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. But, I hope you experience this too, even when you're doing something that's very difficult, even if you don't want to be there, if you're there with a group of people and you come together in a certain way, you can do amazing things. And I never would have said the word joy while I was in the Navy, but it was when I look back on it.
When you look back in the moment, it's the worst. You're like, man, I can't believe here. And then years later, you're going, hey, I wonder what happened to Jones. Remember that time we were doing that thing?
That's right.
My wife says when I go somewhere, when we get to another place, I'm like, oh, man, I miss that place. My wife said, Mike, you were complaining about that. Oh, yeah, in the moment. But now you get away. You're able to put some time to it. And the military does put people together. Yep. Like, you have to grow up together. In a business, you hire this person, and it doesn't have that kind of impact on you.
Right.
But you look back, the joy part does play a part in it.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the things we do and have done since our origin story, which is back in 2013, is we've done interviews. We call this joy research. We ask executives and senior executives, CEOs, et cetera, what does joy at work mean to you, and how does it manifest in the organizations they lead? One of the things that's really fascinating is the people who describe their best team experiences always describe something that from the outside looking in looked impossible to achieve, or achieve in the way you did it, or some combination. So for us, the definition of joy in the work context is something specific as opposed to joy generally.
One of the things, so we had the conversation before, which is, adding joy to the conversation at work. Does it, we have the sales gurus or operations people. If we got to work at the people at the top, and they have to, insert it that way from the top down, trickle down effect. Or can it be a groundswell of the people that all of a sudden can force the change? Your thoughts, ma'am?
Well, I always felt like if I could, my presence at work could have an impact on the atmosphere of a team or whoever I was working with. And I always found that to be true. And so for me, I always thought, why wouldn't I try and make that a positive thing? Because, most of the things that I was doing was not life or death. When you're talking about the military, that's a different thing. But when you're talking about regular, typical situations, why not make it joyful? Or why not make it at least positive, even if you're doing something difficult, or maybe especially if you are?
Can we gauge joy in an organization?
Oh, yes, you can. So,
really?
yeah. So that is something we've been working on.
Yeah, you can do that. You could do it yourself, right? You may not
No, yeah, right.
You might not have a joy thermometer that can go around and like check the joy level, but when you walk in for an organization if it is or it isn't. We're just trying to go to the next level, right, to actually create a bit of that thermometer. We don't want to get all the way to some weird quantitative thing, but we do want to have some measure of, is it getting better or is it getting worse?
Right.
Okay, so this comes from an Army guy asking a guy on from the Navy. Does it turn at the pace of a battleship, or can it be like a speedboat?
Thank you for putting it in terms that I can understand.
Yes, sir. You can, for folks who don't understand like me, I'm not the technical person, but I've heard you can't turn a battleship. Everybody says that.
But remember the origin story?
Yeah, it is.
Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, 1 second. Connie, can you get my sound machine, please? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Connie Hom. Oh, she was getting ready to go in front of the camera. When something good is going to happen, a story is going to be told. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, the origin story.
So, Mike.
Thank you, sir. Okay, and this must have to do with the Navy.
Well, so the origin story, I'll come back to your Navy analogy. Right. So it could be fast. I mean, it can be a speedboat, but you have to bring the right conditions in. And so to tell our story, Roxanne and I are working on a very large, complex project in a very large organization, and it is going incredibly poorly. And
publicly incredibly.
Two disgruntled employees looking over at each other, smiling like, "Man, we can do a better job than this."
So just everything's going wrong. The project was improperly scoped, and so at one point we had to go tell the CIO that we needed to double the budget. Going from a $30 million budget to a $70 million budget is not the kind of thing senior executives want to hear. People are disgruntled because of the extra pressure that's coming, and it's just been difficult all the way through. But the very low point comes when most of the managers within the company are all sitting together in a large auditorium together, and the CEO is addressing all of us, which he would do every year. Long all day, this is the direction of the company. And at one point, a slide goes up, and it's got 4 boxes on it. And they represent the 4 largest efforts that are going on in the company. He goes through the first 3 and talks about how much progress is being made and what we've learned and the good things that we're doing for customers. And then comes to the 4th one, the one that Roxanne and I are leading, and says, but there's just this one that's been a disappointment. And it felt like 5,000 heads all whipped around to look at us.
Want to get away?
To see what our reaction's going to be. And I really wish, Mike, I had this awesome hero's story for you afterwards about how I dug deep and I pulled up forward
I've been there, sir. Yes,
to do it. That is not what happened. What happened is I started working on my resume because I was sure that the CEO, who has no idea who I am, could knock me over in the hallway and not know that he just said that the thing I'm leading is a disappointment. If that's where he is, then there's no way I'm going to be successful in this company, and I need to get out. But Roxanne convinced me to do something else.
Right.
So she took me through what we now call a leadership intention interview, which basically had me go back and think about my best team experience and what were all the things I wanted to do on this team. What was I going to take from my best team experience and apply to this team? And then she went and interviewed all the people on my leadership team, asking them basically the same question, but then showing them what I said I wanted. When we're successful, this is how I'll know. And they were surprised because that's what they wanted too. But that is not what was going on within the program.
Right.
And it was obvious that things had changed. This is the speed part for you. The very next week, on Friday, I get the whole group together. There's about a dozen of us. and it's on Friday in this company. And this is, even before Zoom, but people even back then would phone it in, literally phone it in right there at home in their jammies on their phones. Roxanne and I, and usually a couple others, would be in the room. And on this particular day, I'm rushing into the room because this is also back in the time we used to have those incredible 16-digit codes. You had to dial into the phone in order to get in. And I'm the guy with the code. And I'm late because some other executive has grabbed me and wanted to know what's going on with the program and why things were off. And so I'm literally jogging into the room, and I come into the room and I stop because everyone is physically in the room. And even more impossible for this particular group, all of the laptops are closed because this is not how this group runs. They're usually open and they're all working. And they're all looking up at me, all waiting to see what we're going to do next, because they have heard Roxanne describe what I said I wanted, and it matches what they want, and they want to see, is this really going to happen or not? And so that's the beginning of a complete turnaround. So that went from being a big disappointment to being the biggest turnaround within the company. And our engagement scores, as measured by the company, were well into the 90s, 94, 95%.
For 18 months.
For 18 months for a company that typically has 72%. And a goodly number of the people that were working on that program knew that at the end of the program, they would not have a job because of all the changes that we made as a result of implementing all this new technology and changing all these policies and all of these procedures. And yet we were still at this unbelievably high engagement score. That is joy at work. The other thing that goes with that is at no point in any of that did any element of the entire program get easier. No. It remained very difficult. I was on the phone every single day at 5 p.m. to talk to our software vendor about what were they doing to go fix all the problems that we have. We wrestled this thing into submission to get it in there. So it was very difficult work all the way through. But the team had the highest engagement of any team I'd ever been part of before that. And this is a big group. It's like 250 people that are impacting about 10,000 of the employees in the company who are now going to do things differently as a result of this program. And that radiated out to the millions of customers. That was actually unexpected. We weren't expecting to have any impact on the customers. But because they felt it, the employees felt it, those 10,000 employees felt it, the customers felt it. And on the day we were actually implementing these things, more customers were coming in because they wanted to see how it was going. Because people were talking about, hey, we got this cool thing coming. You actually kind of want the opposite. You sort of would prefer less customers to come in while you kind of work out the kinks of the system. But they wanted to go talk to people and see what was happening.
That's why you did conversions on Friday.
Conversions on Friday.
Exactly.
That's exactly right.
You can peek out, Lord, is it okay?
Right. That's exactly right.
So let me go back to one of the great parts about having a show is you get to have your own therapy sessions. So during that, you're at a difficult time.
Yeah.
You've been called out. It must have been something when you come in and you see everybody there and everybody's stuff is not like they're ready to work.
Yeah.
Like we're all in this boat together. At what point, like you say, the work never got easier. Right. It was still tough. But the mindset, when did you start to see we might have turned a corner on this thing? Was it a one-time thing, or was it like over the course of a little bit of time?
So I think I'm trying to remember the exact timeline, but I know it happened fast. I knew there needed to be certain things that happened at certain times to kind of build and solidify that, okay, we were making a shift here. And so we started with leadership, like we were talking about before, which is Ed and the folks that, are with him on this leadership team. And so for what I could tell about the entire 250 people is that the teams who work for each of these groups felt comfortable with their own manager, but not across the teams. Okay. And they were kind of like, I called it like fiefdoms.
Yes. It's my little world.
Right. I'm fine. If you guys would just figure it out, we'd be great, but I'm fine.
It's
so
the difference between sales and marketing.
Yeah,
exactly. That's that same thing.
It is. And so it was that. And so I needed to find a way to bring the group together. And so there would be these signals that came out that, oh, yeah, you can trust so-and-so. And just those, you can't really, they're not tangible. Some of these things are, like acts, like an all hands meeting is a great like symbolic moment where you can have different things happen and show people that, oh, the leaders are actually getting along. But it's that plus all the little things that they're picking up on. And so that takes a commitment. So one of the things that we talk about with leaders is you have this great intention, which is great. And, oh, you're seeing a difference already in the folks who you lead with. That's great. But don't slide backwards. Don't get lazy. Keep moving forward with that pressure. Because as soon as you slide back, they'll be like, oh no, what they said isn't true. It was just something they said. Does that make sense?
Yes. You're from the HR world? Sort of, kind of?
Sort of. I never was in HR. I was always in the business because change, which is my background, is a business problem, less an HR problem. It seems like an HR problem, but change is really about, are you achieving the business result? And you're focusing on the people aspect of it, which for many changes.
How can people get the information about your company?
Oh, just go to our website, thechangedecision.com.
Okay. We're going to get to disrupt. We are, I promise you. You didn't know you were sitting down for all this. What does an engagement look like with you guys? And what's the deliverables on the back end?
You want to take that?
Yeah, the company's going through, they have a change coming. Okay, and it could be any flavor of change. It could even be things are fine just as they are in terms of what we're doing, but I don't like how the culture is. I want to change the culture. And so we'll work with the leaders and start off with a typical consulting thing, do a bit of an impact assessment. So like, what's really going on here? So that's standard. Everybody does that. What is different is that we're going to do it not just for the thing, but for the culture. So where are you in terms of joy at work in your organization? And then not only put in the tactical elements that you need to do in order to help you through this change, but the other parts that need to happen in order to achieve joy at work. We'll then work with the leader, coach the leaders, like in the more of a sports coach idea of coaching the leaders through how to implement the thing that they say that they want. And then we'll also work throughout the rest of the company and become a way to short circuit some of the information so that we can help them to understand how well is it going. Because that can be difficult. Like people may not be that comfortable to tell their leaders directly about what's working and what isn't.
No, they ain't telling them. Mm-hmm. Like in the military, you don't. So the Navy band came, and it was for not Fleet Week. What's the other one called? When it's not Fleet Week, they do it on, like in towns not right by the water.
Okay.
So they came here and they were talking to me and they were saying, all right, so it was the band. And I said to them, like, who's in charge of the band? Like an E7?
Yeah.
And they're like, no. They said a master chief. Now that means nothing to me. A master chief is the highest level you can go. That's right. And I looked in the camera like, excuse me, master chief. Sorry, sir. I'm telling you, I didn't know. They walk on water. That's what, in the Army, there's sergeant majors. Right. They get that part. Oh, it's something that you give them the respect of what they do. It is hard putting culture in place, but when you get it, the teams run. Yeah. All right, so we're wrapping this up right here, this therapy session. And really quickly, when did you guys know when you started a business as an idea? When did you know you had something?
Gosh, I think it was when we got our first year-long contract.
Whoa.
And that was pretty quick. I was contacted, I was referred. And I remember when I first got the call, I wasn't really sure I wanted this business because it was kind of a mundane change implementation. And I was really skeptical about, were they just looking to delegate the change to me? Or, what was it they were really looking to do? And I realized through this conversation that the relationship of the HR department, which is who contacted me, and all of the managers throughout the company could change through how this system implementation was done. I was like, okay, now I'm interested.
That's different.
It was different. And so I did this impact assessment that I was talking about, flat fee, and that's where we start. And then I gave them a change plan as part of that. right? And what we always do is say, you can take this and run with it. That's how we write it. Or you can fully delegate it to us and we'll staff up for that. Or we can just be on call, right? We offer those options. And when we got the first, all right, we want you to do everything, I called Ed and I said, well, here we go.
This is it.
Here we go.
This is working.
It was great. Yeah.
We're you know, a big boy, big girl business now.
That's
because
right.
it really does come down to how you see yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of times it's not how others see you. Because you're like, these people, they're going to pay us. Like, you're shocked. And they're like, yes. And so as we move into Disrupt, talk about the rich man. I know, sorry. You didn't know this was all this. I'm getting my money's worth out of this.
Okay.
You better believe it. So talk about the Richmond business scene, where we are now from the time you started it, what's changed, the good parts about the things that people would be shocked at.
I have to say that I feel like when we started our business, we were really lucky because there were things going on in Richmond that I think they were sort of new at the time, like all of the startup kind of energy that was happening. So I really felt very excited. Like, I was grateful for it. One of the things that was a signal of that was Gather.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So when we first came onto the scene, I looked at offices and really there was very little, at least not with the energy that we were looking for and to be around. And the only Gather at the time was on Main Street.
I remember that when people used to meet, we used to go to the meetings in the basement.
Yes.
Right.
We used to go to the meetings in the basement.
Right. But then I heard about the one that they were building in Scott's Addition. And so I was like, oh, that's where we need to go. I mean, stuff was happening back then in Scott's Addition, still is, but it was really new. And so we went and did a tour and we signed a contract. It was not even walls up, but I wanted the office up front so that I could be with the energy of the people up front, because I knew I needed. I was going to start it first. And I was hoping Ed would come later, but we had to figure out how that was going to go financially, all that stuff. But yeah, that's where we started. That was a sign for us of what was going on in Richmond for small business.
Shout out to Polly and Doug White. They were others when they backed me, it really made a difference.
Yeah.
Because they're visionary leaders who do a lot and have really changed the community. Mm-hmm. All righty, folks, we're getting to the point now where Disrupt RVA. The date of that is?
September 22nd.
And what can people expect?
They can expect a very high energy event. So they will walk in and there'll be great food and great booze. So we'll start off with that.
Okay, one second.
You want to write that down, one?
Yeah, we got to do a clap right for that right there. I've never been to one, but it seems like it would be like a TED Talk on steroids.
Yeah, it's got that kind of impact approach, right? The idea is to have an idea that makes you sit up and want to listen to what's going on. The format is much briefer, so it's 5 minutes, 20 slides. Each slide is on a 15-second timer.
Yeah.
So the slides are going whether you're ready or not. So we prep our speakers to practice, just like you do for a TED Talk, so that it does come out smoothly. But with that format, it's almost impossible to do it perfectly every time. People will make a mistake and mess up. So that's where the audience comes in. Their job is to energize the speakers, not to sit back and just listen, but to clap and encourage them if they do make a mistake. So because they have something to say, something important to say, we want to make sure that it's going to come out.
So who are the speakers? Are they entrepreneurs? Who is in there talking, bearing their soul?
It's everyone. So we do a call for speakers every year, and we tell people what we're looking for, and we can give them all kinds of examples because all of the speeches are recorded, and they're put on the main Disrupt HQ website, and then our own website. So we have a website for every year dedicated, so people can see the 5-minute talk anytime. And so, they're able to see what we're looking for. There are no pitches. You're not allowed to pitch a product or a service or a company because that breaches the contract that we are making with the audience. The whole idea is to bring an idea about what work could be. So it's not about pitching, it's about the idea and inspiration.
I like that. I do, because it's something people can be original.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of being on a timer would be kind of terrifying. So because, it's like, I mean, you have to know what you're talking about. But congratulations to you guys. Tickets are available, I would guess.
Tickets are available. Go to disruptrva.org and push the button and you can get a ticket.
Sponsors. Hold on 1 second. Like we got sponsors.
That's right. We have been fortunate to have some great sponsors, always looking for more sponsors because all the extra money, whatever is in excess of the expenses for the event, go to a nonprofit. This year, it's going to the Well Collective.
Shout out to Ashley who's out there. You seem like one of the reasons that I do this program is because I say that business can help society be better. You guys just seem like those kind of people. And it was something when I got here, that whole down at Impact Makers and Annika with the whole beekeeper movement. I'm like, okay, this is, so it is something, there are a lot of nonprofits that need help out there. And you guys are doing that. So you can just tell when people are doing it and you get that. So congratulations to you guys. Like I said, you can come back again as we get closer. We always show love to sponsors. Yes, we do. Because it's, it helps. It does. My dad would always say, changing the world ain't cheap, easy, or free. Money got to change hands somewhere.
That's right.
And when people are doing things like Ashley and the Well Collective, it's great that you guys are behind them. Where's your build? Where are you guys located?
We are located in Rockets Landing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We're the cool people.
Yeah,
That's right.
Of course, we're the cool. All right, Katina and Robert Jones. Yes, these are your neighbors down in Rockets Landing. And I saw you guys riding up the street, and I saw your cool car. I used to have a cool car until my grandkids. I had to get an SUV, but I was a car guy, and I bought this little BMW. I didn't know it wasn't a real SUV. It was like a little bit bigger station wagon. Because when I went to put a bike in there, it couldn't fit.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I didn't. Yeah, but tell people real quick the kind of car you have, because I saw you guys on the street.
Yeah, we have a Mini Cooper convertible that is key lime green.
Can't miss it.
Can't miss it. And we refer to it as the Limey. Get a key lime. It's also a British car, so it's a double entendre.
Jenny Kirby good friend Jenny Kirby used to rock one of those.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day. I've never been cool enough to have Mini Cooper. I just love them. But then when I seen it lime green, and I'm riding here, I see it, I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool. And then I get up and you guys are waiting. I'm like, I should have known. I should have known. So, Mike, one last time, how can we get information about Disrupt?
Go to disruptrva.org and you get it there. There's also a Disrupt RVA LinkedIn page. You can get all the information on the LinkedIn page as well.
Yeah, one other thing I wanted to give a shout out to Lost Office Collaborative, also out there at Rockets Landing. That's where all of our events are happening this year.
I just saw that the other day. Yeah. When you get off, you come around the loop by the restaurant.
Yes.
That's. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah,
okay.
It's fantastic space.
A very fantastic space.
It's great for Disrupt.
So what are the different businesses in there?
They are the only business in there, but what they do that's different, they're not just renting out space. If you want to have an event, they will help you craft the event. They will facilitate the event. And they are some interesting, creative, energetic people. So if you want to do something different than just a boring business meeting, those are the people to go talk to.
As they say,
with wagging tails and furry purrs, snakes and turtles and rabbits that twirl, sidekick adventures, just you and me, exploring the world, happy as can be. Sidekick adventures, let's have some fun with our best.
Let me take this down. Right. We are sent. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike King here with celebrated attorney, Mr. Donald G. We're at the firm, his firm with his name on it. Sir, I would say welcome to the program. Well, welcome to the program, but we're in your house.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for coming by.
Alrighty, so we are the business program in Richmond. That's what people know me for. People know you for being an attorney for a year or two, 40 years or so.
I've got 4 decades behind.
4 decades.
Yes.
Well, now you celebrated there, but now on the business side, you tapped into something that business owners, nonprofit leaders would find very interesting. What is that you're doing now?
Now I am working with what we consider to be a platform for health benefits. It's an overlay or a supplemental health plan, but it has tax implications to it. And with that, it does wonderful things for individuals who may be on that scale where they can't afford to go to their doctor sometimes just because of the copay or the deductibles that they have, or they can't afford some of the prescriptions. And this overlay or supplemental plan provides free doctor visits. It provides no deductible for your PCP, and it also gives you prescriptions for over 600 prescribed medications. But what's most important about it is for any individual who is working out here in today's times, they have the ability to get a net increase in their take-home pay because of the tax strategies behind this.
So that helps the business owner and the employee. It's a win-win situation.
It's a win-win situation because with this, the employee gets these freebies, so to speak, because they have a net zero to them. But the employer also has benefits, and that employer gets to reduce their FICA taxes down. And if they're in Virginia, Virginia is part of what's called the National Council on Compensation Insurance, and the tax effect is to reduce their workers' comp premiums, and it does that. And I'm a living, breathing because my firm is on this.
So people are leery, people are skeptical. It may sound too good to be true.
Absolutely. I hear that all the time. But the critical part of it is, give me those minutes to talk to me. I'm one of those personable individuals. I will come to you. I've flown to Kansas to talk to individuals. I've flown to Hawaii to talk to individuals. I've been in South Carolina and Florida dealing with this because it's effective in all 50 states. But if you give me the time to talk with me and allow me to do what we call a census, and that's to show you where your savings are, show you where your money is going and why and how we can help you reduce this down, I think that you can become a customer of ours.
It makes sense. So it is not just for really, really big. Someone may think, it's just me. I got 3 people. I really don't have the bandwidth. We're not a big organization. And you say?
I say to them, whether you are a company that has 50,000 employees or you have 2 W-2 employees, I will come to you because just as you being small, it doesn't mean you have small income, but I still want to be able to give you the experience of understanding what you could be saving with just those 2 individuals, and I'll come to you.
One of the times people were talking about skeptical, sometimes lawyers be a skeptical type. You guys look at things always, making sure that it is something that works. You looked at this and said, this thing works.
Well, moreover, I have read every document that applies to this. I've read the legal opinions from ERISA, legal opinions from attorneys who vetted this through and through and through. And every conversation that they've had with the Internal Revenue Service and the Department of Treasury to vet this and or to make sure they're in compliance with the 2 Internal Revenue statutes that this is made out of. And so, yes, but moreover, what's important is my firm, for the last 2 years, we have been a part of this. And my staff has used it, and we've gone through now 2 tax seasons with it, and my CPA says there's no issues with it whatsoever.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Donald G. is here with us, and the name of the firm is?
The G Law Firm, but the company with the new venture is SGH Business Solutions.
So if you have an organization, so it's a for-profit, nonprofit, it works for everyone who is out there.
It works for everyone who is doing their taxes under the Internal Revenue statutes.
There you go. That's the word. Mike King, Mr. G, is here with us. Just make sure you contact him. There's money there. Don't leave things on the table. There's opportunities. You can reach out to the man right here. If it's something you want a question, reach out to me. I will get you to the man. Mike King, ESPN Richard, MIKEKINGBIZ Media, the platform. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Now take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Drumming, and I was a business, I get paid to perform. And I want to say this, my King Biz, clap it up for my King Biz.
Thank you. So the next person up is Jenny Kirby. And this is her house, folks. This is the house. This is the house today.
Yeah, I'll just be brief, but again,
But everyone can't be here because as you can see, time is ticking by.
Day one, that I wanted to pour back into my community, even if I'm not from Richmond. So, thank you all for making me feel so welcome.
Hey, for me to start, you have a child